Okay, now I'm streaming. Okay, now I think I am streaming. Okay, I think I am streaming. Hello, Oh wait, let me start up the thing on reality. Sorry, you're gonna see this. Whoa. Why is it zooming in on me? Stop it, reality. Oh shit, you can see everything. First stram. No, okay, fine. It's my first stram on reality. Okay, now let me just close that. Close that. Hello, everybody. My name is Markiplier, and welcome to my first stram. Also, tell me if my computer audio is too loud at the current moment. But let me just turn it down for good measure. I think that's good. No, it looks good. Let me turn it down for me. Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. Hello, everybody. I'm currently streaming. And actually, let me talk to someone really quick. I gotta tell someone about this. I have 2 viewers on reality currently. I know, living the high life. Whoa,
there is so much information about art out there. It's kind of overwhelming. What's the right way to start? How do you really learn art? What if you get it wrong? Stop. Don't worry. It's not actually that scary. Learning art can get pretty complicated, but I'll try to simplify it and break it down so that hopefully you'll have a better idea of how to get started. Okay, so there's one.
Okay, so yeah. Like I said, this is my first stream. Sorry for the hearts in the background. That's from reality. And what? Why is there already a warning on this stream? Damn it.
The answer is, of course not. Plenty of artists start later on in life. Vincent van Gogh started painting at 27, which isn't even like
The bit rate?
The best time to start learning anything was 10 years ago. But the second best time is now.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good with the freaking bit rate. Yeah. This is my stream. This is my first time streaming. For my reality viewers, I'm going to be drawing, but you can't see. All you can see is the green screen that I'm using for YouTube. If you're wondering what's playing in the background, it's an art YouTuber I like, and I like listening to Pcat. She's really good. Anyway, let me get into streaming. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this stream going for 2 hours if I can, so like until 10 my time. Yeah. Right now I'm drawing this character that I have called Kasuka-chan. Or Kasuka. I really like her. She's really cool. My opinion. She's a demon. She's a demon, and I gotta open Pinterest, see my reference for this. There we go. Alright. Yep. She's a demon. She's not like a particularly important demon to any sort of mythology. She's not based off of anything. She's just a demon. Like what I mean by that, like she's not an incarnation of to make this happen. So like I have the model on YouTube. And it just crapped out on me. Let me just get that back up and running. This might happen a couple times during stream, definitely. But my reality viewers don't have that problem though at the current moment, or not at the current moment. I just think they don't have that problem because on my reality it's just the app there. So Okay, let me make that screen smaller. Move that down there. Display capture. No. Aha. There we go. Properties. Cast. Okay. There we go. I am back. Thanks to the beauty of screen sharer and chroma key. Oh, freak. I'm not zooming in on anything. I wasn't even in the app. So yeah, this is my character, Casca. She is great. She is very pretty.
Then draw it again from imagination and just keep alternating between the two. Try drawing it from lots of different angles and you'll start to intuitively understand the 3D form of what you're drawing. But wait, hang on.
Okay, just erase that.
Sounds good and all, but just do it? Surely there has to be more to it than that, right?
Okay.
That sounds too simple. If you're starting with a blank canvas, how do you even get started? Which part are you supposed to draw first? If this is something you're struggling with, it's a good time to check out some art tutorials for whatever it is you want to draw. For example, a tutorial for an anime head will look something like this. There are artists that don't like tutorials like these because sometimes these tutorials aren't grounded in good fundamentals. At least that's what I used to think as well. But wait, art fundamentals? What are those?
There we go.
When I was watching my partner draw for the first time,
Okay.
there was something that I realized. He was pretty confused about which part of the picture to draw first. You can see by his process how chaotic it was. Like he'll draw the eyebrow here and then later on draw a section of the face. It just doesn't really make very much sense. A good basic tutorial can help bring some structure to the process. It might not be useful forever, but it serves as a pretty good starting point. It's also good for practicing and understanding the importance of guidelines. If you ever find yourself confused about where to begin a drawing, that's where these tutorials might help. But let's say you've been
Hottie pin.
practicing, but then you look at your work and you think, wow, I'm really not very good at this, am I? Maybe I'm not cut out for it, or maybe I'm not talented enough. My drawings look a little bit like the scribblings of a child's. Okay, don't panic.
There we go.
It's actually harder to start drawing as an adult
I'm
than when
probably
you're
just gonna
young.
remove the text
Here's a
because
graph to demonstrate
words.
Assuming you're a learning artist, as
I'm
time
gonna
goes
draw
on, you
her.
get better
I
at
think
drawing.
I could definitely try draw her again. So like the less complicated stuff like words to work with, the better.
Taste or ability to judge good art.
This is what I have so far, and I like it. She only has one boot on because
Your taste. It also
she weird like that.
consume media.
I don't know.
Movies, arts,
She just kind of likes that aesthetic. She likes asymmetry,
your ability to see
that kind of
is
stuff.
already
Yeah.
all the way up here. And if you just started drawing, your ability to draw
She doesn't play by the rules.
means it'll take time for your art ability to catch up to your good
Yeah.
taste. You'll be stuck making art that you don't
This is what I
like.
have of her so
Now,
far.
children don't have this problem because their taste isn't as developed as an adult's.
Yeah.
They draw
Um,
not so
I don't
well.
know if like the proportions are off. They probably are,
Going.
but I'll just fix that in the future.
Maybe even a lot of time before they can make
Cause
art
yeah.
that they're happy with. This is just gonna take a while, so you're gonna have to be patient. Instead of
Is there something I should add here? Maybe more pins.
and the mental
What else does she like?
and that's it.
What else does she like? That is a question, a good question to ask.
Process as necessary.
Um,
Process I used to learn to draw like this. This
wait.
is some of my old art.
What is going on YouTube? I see hearts.
Easy. There has to be more than that.
What
How
the
do you know
freak?
you're practicing the right thing? So,
Participants,
let
I
me
mean.
introduce you to art
No, it's only me. Why is there hearts coming out of there? There's hearts coming out of there in reality. Thank you for that.
Just having fun
Yeah.
and drawing what you want can take you
What
pretty
does she
far.
like?
Mileage.
What does Casca like?
But if you do want to take your art to that next level, I'll
Hmm.
give you a brief rundown of some fundamentals that you could look into. 1. Perspective and construction. Learn to draw by breaking objects down into 3D shapes. 2.
I mean, she likes cats, but I already have like a cat pin. Maybe I could give her a cat.
Learning the actual bones and
Maybe she has like a pet cat. I'm shit at drawing cats, so I'm not gonna draw that anytime soon.
5. Composition. Deliberately organizing elements on your canvas to make your illustration more impactful. So I haven't listed them all, but all of these are important aspects of art, all of which deserve and have entire books covering them. I'll put some in the description if you're interested, and I also have some videos you could check out. If this far, you might be thinking, whoa, that's a lot I have to learn. And people often ask me how I manage to stay motivated to learn all of this stuff. The secret is, I don't. I practice art because I love and enjoy it. I know I say it a lot, but I can't overstate the importance of enjoying what you do. Imagine doing something you hate for thousands and thousands of hours and not even getting paid for it. Because can you imagine that? I know I sure can't. Even when doing something as pedestrian as simply drawing boxes, I'm finding ways to have fun. I don't have a study schedule. I only study and draw things I feel like.
There we go.
Just remember, fun comes before dementals.
Fun before dementals.
We all learn art a little differently. So I'm just
True
giving suggestions
words
that
of
work
wisdom,
for me.
PCAT.
Something else might work better for you, but you won't know until you try. Drop a subscribe button from reference if this helped you at all. Thank you so much for watching.
I need to find the
Bye.
tail a little bit more.
Excuse me. I think you might find what I'm about to say really unexpected. My nose is stuffed. So, you want to get into digital art, but you take one look at all the tools you gotta get, and whoa, there are so many to choose from, and some of them are really expensive. Which one should you pick? Hi, I'm
There.
Kat, and I've been drawing for a while now, and I've tried a whole bunch of different tablets and tools.
There we go.
It's my experience to help you figure out which one of these tools might be the best fit for you. Let's get into it. But first, let me get this out of the way.
I think accessories could go on last. Maybe some hair ties. Maybe she likes hair ties.
You can learn those with traditional tools just fine. Even if you want to eventually move to digital art, you'll find that there are plenty of skills that transfer over. So it's perfectly fine to start your art journey with something that costs a lot less than a drawing tablet.
Hairpins.
But if you're feeling ready to take the next step, let's see what kind of options
That is
we
a
have.
weirdly placed
So, drawing
hairpin.
tablets. In order to be able to draw digitally, you'll need some kind of tool.
There we go.
Technically, it is possible to use a mouse, and I've also heard whispers of people using the forbidden technique of drawing on their phones. But for the rest of us mortals, we'll probably be needing something like a
There we go.
drawing
That's
tablet.
good. I don't know what kind of. Hello, emo.
We can put
How are
drawing
you?
tablets into two categories, non-display
Um,
tablets and display
yeah.
tablets.
I
Non-display
do
tablets
not
work
know
sorta like a mouse,
what
except
I
you
should
use a cursor with a stylus.
freak.
You'll have to connect them to a separate computer
I don't know what the
to work.
background should be. That is a lingering
Because there's an additional degree of
mystery
separation. It takes
at
time
the
to
current
develop
moment.
memory and coordination
Let me.
skills. A display tablet, on the other hand, has a built-in screen, so you can see what you're working on, which mimics traditional art more closely. So
Just
does
change
that
it
mean
around,
display
change her
tablets are
around a little bit,
strictly better?
so we can actually see her
A lot of people seem to think
in
so,
her
but there are
entirety.
actually plenty of professional artists that prefer non-display
Hello.
tablets. You can
Hi,
definitely get
Pookie.
high-level results on them. For one thing, they are much cheaper. And your posture also tends to be better because instead of being hunched over a screen all the time, you're looking up
you
at
go.
your monitor. For non-display tablets, Wacom is always a safe bet with their Wacom One or Intuos line. But if you're looking for more budget options,
There we go.
XP Pen Deco
That's
series
good.
are well reviewed and used by many artists. Personally, though, I prefer a display tablet. But even just within display tablets, there are so many to choose from. What brand should you get? How big should the tablet be? Well, the first thing to consider is whether you want to use a device with a computer or not. Like
There we go.
non-display
So
tablets, some display tablets only work if you connect them to a PC or
make
Mac.
her sitting on a
On
couch.
the other hand,
That's a good idea.
smartphone tablets can
That's
work
actually
well.
a really
Example
good
of that would
idea.
be an iPad or an Android tablet.
Yeah.
Personally, I used an
I'm
iPad for
gonna
the
do
longest
that.
time myself. They work great if you're looking for something more portable so you can do some sketching on the go. Sounds perfect, right? You don't even need a computer.
No, I
It's
think
not like
I think
traditional
this
tablets. For one, it
angle
can be
is good
pretty
for
annoying
her.
to transfer images and files to a computer if you need to do that. Secondly,
Yeah.
there
Okay,
is
let
a
me.
size
This is my
limit
first
when it
layer,
comes
by
to
the way.
standalone
The
devices
when I did the
because they
basic
need to be
gesture of the
portable.
pose
And
on.
you might be surprised
But
by this,
anyway.
but the size of the screen is actually pretty important. I used to use
Let
an
me
iPad,
make it look like
but
she's
ultimately
looking
ended up
more
switching to a regular display
towards
tablet because of it.
the
Why does size make such a big difference?
metaphorical I don't know, metaphorical. The imaginary camera that we're looking at her from. Let me make it look like she's looking more towards that.
You don't have much space to work with. So you're forced to use tiny, precise finger movements. Of course,
Okay,
it's
that's
better
good.
than an
That's
Android
good.
tablet, even if it's a small
Tell
one,
me if
you'll
my
still end up using repetitive work
stream
motions.
on YouTube. Tell me if my
Yourself, but if you're not
computer,
careful, you could end up
like my
injuring
video
yourself.
audio and my stream audio are fine.
Use your arm and
Like
shoulder to draw.
if one is not too
There's also
louder than the
another
other.
benefit you might not know about.
Tell me if that's
With
okay.
a larger screen, you'll need to zoom in and less often.
Yeah.
I was surprised to find this out, but
If she's
not
sitting on a couch, then I might
actually
make
saving a lot of time.
some of her hair
I personally
be a little more down.
find that for my recommendations, I can only talk about what I personally used.
Oh wait, no, that's her
For
horn.
device, I really love the Apple iPad. The iPad has access to one of the best drawing apps out there. I'll talk about those a little later. It's also very portable, and the pen feel is amazing. It's super responsive. This is the closest you can get to a pen and paper feel. However, one thing that a lot of people don't like is how slippery the surface of the iPad feels.
Okay, there we go.
But you can fix this problem with the help of the sponsor of this video, Paperlike, the original screen protector that started it all. Paperlike uses a special microbead technology called nanodots that gives you the feel of paper
There we go.
without sacrificing screen clarity. That means
That's
almost
good.
no glare, and you can barely see fingerprints and smudges. The protector itself is super thin, almost as thin as a human hair, so it doesn't affect the precision of the Apple Pencil. With this extra resistance, you can draw with more accuracy and comfort, just like drawing on paper. I've actually been
No,
using
that's-
a Paperlike screen protector for
that
years,
looks
and honestly,
weird.
it's been holding up great. But here's another thing I love about Paperlike. The application process is really straightforward and easy to follow. Personally, I'm really bad at applying screen protectors. In fact, the only one I've ever applied successfully is my first Paperlike from years
There
ago.
we go.
But everything you need is in the box, and the instructions are super clear. And even if you do somehow mess it up twice, because by default Paperlike comes with 2 screen protectors in the
There
box,
we go.
there's a 100-day satisfaction guarantee. They'll offer a free replacement or refund within 100 days. If you want to try it out, check out the link in my description, and thanks again to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. And now, back to talking about drawing
Okay,
on iPads.
that looks good so
I know
far.
it's easy to get wowed by all the flashy new features they keep releasing with each new generation of iPad. But if it's just for drawing, you
Wait.
don't really need anything
Oh wait,
so
no. Yeah,
fancy.
that was.
If you can
That's
get
good.
an older model, either secondhand or
Unlock
refurbished,
this
it'll
really
work
quick.
perfectly
Make her sit
as
on
long
a
as it
couch.
supports an Apple Pencil. There are a bunch of versions out there, so make sure your
She
iPad
will
supports the
be
right
sitting
one.
on
I'm still
a
using my
couch.
2018 iPad Pro. I mostly got it because of the second
Let me
generation
search up
pencil
some
next to the
couch
time.
reference.
The first generation pencil is okay. I just think the way they charge it is a little
What the
goofy,
fuck?
especially when you compare it to the Gen 2 pencils. But what if I'm at home? I've actually tried quite a few display tablets. Mostly on
Couch
campus,
reference.
Display tablets are perfectly serviceable, or any of the Gen 2 display tablets from XP Pen. But I
Okay.
use 2 specific tablets more than any other. The first is actually an old Wacom 27 HD that I got
Which
from
one?
Walmart.
That looks good.
Is 27
That looks
inches.
good. It looks like it would
Huge.
be in her
Especially when you
house.
pair it with an ergo stand. I genuinely can't even lift this thing, but the big screen makes it perfect for drawing.
Okay.
And even though it's pretty old, it's still a Wacom tablet, so it still has that
Let
industry
me.
standard.
Oh wait.
pen
Let me
accuracy
decrease the
and responsiveness.
opacity of this layer
Also, since it's
by a
so
little
big,
bit so I can
position it so that it's
adequately
really
draw the
flat.
couch.
This makes it much easier on my neck since I don't have to hunch over. The problem is Wacom's display tabs, especially big ones, tend to be really expensive. So what if you want something cheaper? Recently, I've actually replaced my Wacom tablet with another brand's. Right now, I'm using an XP Pen Artist Pro 24 Gen 2 165 Hz, which is slightly smaller. 27 inches actually felt a little bit too big for me, so 24 inches is perfect. It's a much newer tablet,
There
so
we
the colors
go.
are way more vibrant, and what's more, it comes with a blistering 165
Freak,
refresh
freak,
rate, so it's surprisingly good for gaming as well. I'd say that the high refresh rate makes it feel even snappier than the Wacom, though the pen accuracy is just a little
Ah,
less
that
good.
looks weird.
But
Let me
enough
increase my
of
eraser
voices, since
size.
currently my
Oh wait,
primary
no.
drawing
I'm gonna
tablets
do this with the hotkey.
still isn't a cheap
I just
tablet,
found out
but
about
it's
this
definitely
freaking
cheaper
hotkey
than
for
comparable
the
tablets from
eraser.
Wacom. But you'll need more than just hardware
I've been
if you
using
want to
Clip
do
Studio
art.
for like what,
So
a
now
year
we're
now,
gonna
and I
talk
just
about
found out about that
software.
hotkey.
Obviously, you could draw with something
Okay.
like MS Paint, but it doesn't mean that you should. My glasses so good. You might already know about Photoshop.
Free.
For a long time, this was the go-to industry standard software. However, Photoshop is a bit expensive, and it's subscription only to boot. So let's take a look at some other options, starting with some for Windows and Mac. Personally, I really like Clip Studio Paint. I honestly think it's one of the best drawing apps out there. You can get it as a one-off purchase, and it often goes on sale. It even has a free trial if you just want to try it out. It's also available on iOS and Android. But if you want something free to start you off, something else you could consider is Krita. It's open source and wait, is Krita open source?
Okay.
Yes. It's open source and it has tons of features, almost to a fault. For example, the Colorize Mask tool that allows you to quickly color in line arts. But its interface is not exactly the most clean or user-friendly. In fact, for someone starting out, it's actually kind of cluttered and confusing. If you want something a little cleaner and lighter, you can
This
also
couch is looking a
back
little
or
small,
file
actually.
They're
Let me
not
size it
quite
up a
as
tiny
full-featured
bit.
as Krita, but the user interface is sensible and intuitive to learn. But what if you'd prefer to use a mobile device instead? I mentioned this earlier, but I said that the iPad had one of the best drawing apps available, and that
Make sure
app
her
is
butt is
Procreate.
actually on the couch.
It is a paid app, but it's very reasonably priced.
This could be
It's super
a lot
intuitive and
more
easy
of
to
a
pick up,
dip
but
in
it
the
doesn't
couch.
skimp on features either. Plenty of professional artists actually use Procreate as their primary drawing application. I'd say if you're looking for a combo that feels the closest to drawing on paper, that would probably be Procreate
Yep.
with an iPad. But it's also not the only option available on the iPad. And what if you have an Android tablet? In that case, a free app you might want to try is Ibis Paint. The free version is ad-supported,
it's nice.
but it also comes with everything you might need in a drawing app. Interestingly, it's also available on Windows. Yeah, out of the box, everything just seems to work. That's great. But unless you're a super fan, I wouldn't recommend using that version.
There we go.
It very much looks and feels like it was directly ported from the mobile version,
That
which
looks
it
great.
probably was. Anyway, I hope that this video gave you everything you needed to start on your digital art journey. Again, I want to remind everyone that I can only give recommendations based on
Yep.
my own actual experiences. I hope that it was helpful, and if you want to learn how to start drawing, maybe check out this video. Bye-bye!
Okay, there we go. Let me elongate the cushions a tiny bit.
How do you even get good enough to do something like this? Or this? Or this? What kind of practice are you supposed to do to actually get better at color? I really want to find out the answer to these questions, so I did a lot of research and a lot of practice. I also made a lot of mistakes, but I'll explain them to you so that hopefully you
There we go.
won't have to make them. So let's start with this simple question. What is a color anyway? Okay, so we're not going to start talking about the electromagnetic spectrum. Let's talk about how we, as artists, think about color. Fun? Is this what you call fun? I don't think it's fun at all. There are so many colors. How are we supposed to keep track of them all? How are we supposed to know which ones to use? So before we can start talking about colors,
Should I put a
let's
pillow,
figure out a way
like
to
right here?
organize them so we can actually start taking a closer look at them. You may have heard about RGB or CMYK or other color mixing models, which are neat and cool, but today I'm going to go over a different way of approaching color that I think is really useful for digital artists. This part
It
might
just
get
doesn't really
technical,
look like she's
but
sitting on a...
trust me,
Actually, I
this is
could just
what
change the
we use. It's probably
perspective a
gonna
little
help
bit.
in our work. There are a
Control,
couple of
transform.
properties that are very useful to us as digital artists. The hue of a color is the actual identity of the color, where it is on the color wheel, if it's red, blue, or some other color.
If I asked you what color this was, probably green. How about this one? Also green.
The value of a color is its lightness or darkness. Now we want to talk about the colorfulness of a color. Two concepts related to that are saturation and chroma. Saturation is a generic term for how intense a color is, and confusingly enough is sometimes defined slightly differently in different color spaces. But in short, the saturation of a color is its purity. A color can be
There we
really
go.
dark,
So-
but still very saturated if it doesn't have other colors mixed in.
Weird perspective to draw a room from, but
is chroma.
it's a perspective nonetheless.
The color is how much pow it has. The further away it is from a gray of the same value, the higher its chroma. A high chroma color will always be saturated, but a saturated color may not have high chroma. If we look at the color picker here,
Let me
colors
just
with
give her some,
maximum saturation
just some like
will be
wood
right end of the
floors.
square, whereas the color with maximum chroma is always at the top right of the square. And here's the interesting thing about chroma. Each hue has a maximum chroma at different values. For example, yellow has a high chroma at high values, red has a high chroma at medium values, and blue has a high chroma at low values. You will never be able to have a high chroma yellow at darker values, and likewise, you can't have a high chroma blue at lighter values. You can test this yourself. Try painting over gray values with a color layer. This is important to keep in mind because controlling your values while you paint is incredibly important. Here's an example where I kind of messed up on that. Thanks to Fua for pointing this out. If you want to learn more about this, I recommend the book Color and Light by James Gurney. I left a
There
link
we
in the
go.
description if you want to find out more. Now we want to talk a little bit about color relativity. Alright, so some people have heard of color relativity, and I think
Gonna make the couch a little fucked up because she poor.
It's actually orange, you dummy, or something like that. That's cool and all, but how's that actually useful? The important thing to remember about colors is that we perceive color differently depending on the colors they are surrounded by. This color might look blue in one place, but orange in other places. The absolute properties.
Let me draw a cat laying down at the on the window.
Far more interesting in context.
That'll be
That's
cute.
why thinking of colors in terms of color temperature is generally more useful, since all colors are relative anyway.
Wait, let me
You can roughly separate them into warm and cool colors.
make the
So
opacity
there's some
larger
discussion
or
about exactly
higher.
where the wheel should be
Let me.
placed. Warm colors,
Now I gotta
closer
redraw
to
this.
red, they tend to make you think of heat or warmth, hence the name. Whereas cool colors are the opposite, the ones closer to blue. This is important vocabulary to have because oftentimes while artists are painting, they need to make a color that appears warmer or appears cooler. And simply using
Here we
either
go.
red or blue in your painting, respectively, isn't always the way you can do that. A neat way to think about colors is like you're walking through a color space. Remember this blue that is actually
Now she
orange
is
color?
on the couch.
It's orange, but compared to the colors in which it has walked towards blue in the color
Yep.
space. Let me show you
There we
the
go.
colors
She
from
is
yellow.
currently on the
These are
couch
opposite each other on the color
in
wheel.
my drawing.
Complementary colors.
14 viewers on reality. Hi, by the way. Hi. Let me.
Notice that the center
Wait.
of this color wheel is gray.
Freak. No,
Therefore,
wrong one.
simply by desaturating the yellow, we have successfully
Hello,
evolved
everybody. My
towards
name's
blue.
Markiplier.
One way to think about it is if you take a yellow color and paint over some blue with a low opacity
Yeah.
brush, you will also gradually
So now
walk
she's on the
towards
couch.
blue.
Yeah, you could
Notice that it moves through the grays
do.
before
What
getting
the
to
freak happened on
If you just
reality?
wanted to walk to red from yellow, the shortest path is
poster.
around the edge, so we never see those desaturated colors.
Or
There's a ton
something.
more you could go into, but if you want to learn more, you can check out some stuff from Devin Corwin, who has a ton of free and paid resources on color. So I've talked a whole bunch about the theory, but now it's time to actually apply it. You can't learn without practicing, after all. So how do you actually get good at color? I did my very first color study about a year ago, and it looks like this. For this exercise, I used a hard brush and simply tried to copy the colors of the reference as closely as I could without using
Okay, there we
a
go.
tool. I guess it's not
This
so
is a
bad,
little
but it doesn't quite
couch
look as readable as
spin.
the reference photos. And if we make the images grayscale, you can
Taped
see that I
over.
wasn't quite able to group my values properly. The reflected light is a little bit too bright. I struggled a lot on this. I had a very hard time figuring out how to get the color I was looking for from the color picker. Hue, saturation, value, there were way too many variables to mess with. No wonder I messed up. However, Fallout came to the rescue with this amazing tip. Apparently, a lot of what looks like hue variations are simply saturation and value
There we
shifts.
go.
In fact, using fewer hues,
Freak. But that was on
I
that
tried
layer.
taking her advice and tried getting the
That was
color
all. Okay.
by only using the saturation and
Let me
brightness sliders.
clean up
With
what I've
less variable
messed up.
I was able to quickly find the color I
Freak.
wanted much more easily. So I was able to complete these studies in overcast light and direct sunlight without too much trouble. However, it was at this point that I encountered this. An image set at sunset, or sunrise, I'm not sure which. It looks like the image was mostly orange, so I tried to stick to a mostly
'Kay.
orange hue. Trying to figure out what
Let
color
me
the clouds were was very
cut and
challenging on
paste.
this. I was particularly displeased when I
Great.
realized what color
Now,
the clouds
merge
brown.
selected
What could
layers.
possibly go wrong with brown clouds?
Ta-da!
I also struggled a lot when
There we
trying
go.
to paint the light on the water.
No harm, no
I
foul.
avoid using too many hue shifts, but I think I was forced to use some yellow here to get some higher chroma colors. I swear.
Let me put
colors
her
are
on top.
Crazy ancient black magic. I was also unable
So,
to
yeah,
capture the
she
light
is
shift
on
with all these
the
by
couch.
simply shifting the saturation. So clearly I was supposed to shift hue sometimes, but when? This was all very confusing. So, once again, I turned to my art senpais for help.
I'm shifting.
Unfortunately, I did not have to wait too long for Ian
Yeah.
to come to the rescue.
She's on the couch. Now let me search up reference of a cat laying on a windowsill from behind.
Changing or maybe different colored light sources. He said that it was important to understand how light and materials
Laying.
interact, so you can observe and break down your reference and exaggerate those color relationships as necessary. He also
Windowsill.
encouraged me to paint from life because in photographs, those
Okay.
decisions and value relationships have already been made. Julia
Oh, that
also
one's
offered some
cute. That
advice
one's
and
perfect.
explained how I could keep in mind the major ideas I wanted to
Wish you could see the
emphasize.
reference I have on Pinterest. It's gonna be infinitely better than what I'm gonna do here.
The feeling of the warm light on the sea would be different than trying to capture the cool tones in the sand.
Could put put on the same layer as her.
Like nostalgic or sad to affect how I wanted to use my colors. She showed me examples of how even paintings or photos
Actually,
of the
wait.
same subject
Speaking of
could feel
this
different
layer,
depending on the colors we chose to use. She did a quick paint over on my drawing and made the background a little cooler to bring out the warmth of the hammock.
perfect.
There was also one more reason I might have been struggling with this painting, and it's because the reference.
Freak, I did it on the couch layer.
I can't believe.
Let me label these.
Where is this cool shadow even coming from? Look at this tree just growing out of nowhere. Maybe that's why I was struggling so much with the color. This isn't even real. I just grabbed an image off Google that looked pretty and didn't look too hard, but turns out it was from Adobe stock. And some people might remember a certain dragon that came from Adobe stock that got a certain tablet company in trouble. Now that I've spent some time practicing,
there we
it's time
go.
to try to use it in my own work. You might have noticed that I put my favorite Pokemon, Clodsire, in each one of my color studies, and this painting was going to be no different. If I was going to do art study, I was going to make sure that I found some way to enjoy it. I still used a reference here, but I decided I was going to try to make more deliberate color choices. For instance, I thought making...
That's good. There we go. Okay, now time for the kitty.
To keep the lettuce looking very saturated, so that it looked like the light was passing through the leaves. When light passes through organic material,
No.
it's very saturated. I struggled a bit with the background and eventually realized that whoever did this amazing food photography probably chose that background color for a reason. So going with the same one worked pretty well. And here it is, the final results. I think I did all right, but there's definitely still a long way to go for me on my color journey. I've barely started learning. Anyway, I find color really complicated and difficult, and there's still tons for me to learn. If you want to buy the brush I use for these studies, you can buy it on my Gumroad. There's a link in the description. If you found any of this useful, do a color study of the subscribe button. See you next time. Whereas, we're not going to start talking about the electromagnetic spectrum. We're not going to start talking about the electromagnetic... We're not going to start talking about the electro... Okay, so we're not going to start talking about the electromagnetic... How do I grow my social media? This is one of the most common questions I get. And it's
There we
for
go.
good reason. In order
It's
to
a-
make money as an
it's a
artist,
kitty.
you have to grow your social media following. People talk about how important marketing and branding is for artists. It's important for your career
There we go.
and your future. Or is it? Did you know that many professional artists don't have a social media account at all? If this is surprising to you, keep watching, because I'll explain why social media might not be as important as you think it is, especially for those who want to turn art into a career. Some people might be a little confused by this, because if you look literally anywhere online, you'll see amazing professional artists with tons of followers. In fact, I spoke to some of those amazing artists and they all agreed that visibility helped them land a number of jobs. So why am I still saying that social media isn't important?
There we go. Let me draw this paw more from...
Artists in the entertainment industry barely have an online presence at all. So by simply hanging out in online spaces, you're not likely to encounter them. So unless you're working with them
that.
or know people in the industry, you might not even know they exist. And it kind of makes sense, actually, that they don't all have massive social media accounts. If you think about it, how did these artists get so incredibly cracked in the first place? They probably had to spend a long time practicing and polishing their skills. In fact, growing a following and posting on social media is work that can potentially distract them from other things, like improving their art skills. So does that mean that marketing isn't actually important? That it's not worth spending time on at all? That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, marketing, branding, networking, these things are all very important. However, even though the artists I spoke to said that visibility is a great thing, they all agreed that something else was even more important. And that other thing was, of course, their foundational art skills. The opportunities came after they built up their skills and portfolio, not the other way around. But because so many people ask me about social media, I worry that some people might be getting their priorities a little mixed up. And they might be spending more time trying to game algorithms or run art raffles, etc., rather than trying to improve their base craft level. If you take a minute to think about the purpose of marketing, it's to make sure that your art makes its way to the right pair of eyeballs at the right time.
There we go.
For example, a good set of eyeballs would be a hiring manager looking to hire an artist for their project. But this is only useful if the art impresses them so much that they want to pay an artist money for it. If the work isn't what people need, then it doesn't matter how many hiring managers see it. They're not gonna want to hire that artist. And I'm not trying to say that anyone's art is bad, but it's
There we
important
go.
to be realistic about how much demand there is for your work, how it measures up to others in the field, and how appropriate it is for the roles that you're aiming for. However, I'm not saying it's impossible that somebody wants to hire an artist specifically for the number of followers that they have. But in that case, they're probably more interested in publicity than the art itself. For instance, an NFT project would probably value that publicity a great deal more than usual. But wait, hang on. Doesn't something here not really make sense? It's fine to say that people should practice their art fundamentals, but even if someone's art is insanely good, without social media, how will they get discovered? How can someone give you money for your art if they don't even know you exist? Fortunately, there's a very simple solution. If there's a specific art job that you want, you apply for it. Like any other job on the planet, you have to brush up your resume and apply. And of course, don't forget to include your portfolio as well, since this is an art job we're talking about. While it is possible for recruiters to find candidates by scrolling their Twitter feeds, they're more likely to be searching for candidates on portfolio websites like ArtStation. And don't underestimate the power of word of mouth. People looking to hire artists often ask their friends or
That show looks weird.
If you do a good job,
Current
you may
moment.
get recommended for new opportunities later on. An art job really isn't that different from a regular job. Okay, I know for a lot of people, this was probably pretty obvious. So why did I want to talk about this in the first place? One thing I've been noticing is that it seems to be
I'm
pretty
bad
common
at drawing
for
cats.
professors and teachers in art schools to ask their students to go out and interview a professional artist to learn about the industry.
Yeah. There we go.
End up asking me, which has always been a little funny because while I do have nearly a decade of experience in the games industry, that's as a programmer, not an artist. But some artists that have gotten interviewed by students have noticed that a lot of them seem to have misconceptions about getting work as an artist. Typically, many ask questions about social media because they're convinced that having a strong online presence is critical to their future and their career. I've literally seen people run art raffles on Twitter to, quote, secure their future as an artist. It's a bit concerning to me if people genuinely think they need tens of thousands of followers to survive as a professional artist. No wonder people are getting stressed out about algorithms if they think their future hangs on it. But as we all know, that's not
Drawing a
the only reason people
poster.
have a big following. What other reasons are there? People want to grow their social media for all sorts of reasons, and one major one is that as artists, they want more people to see their work. There's nothing shameful about this feeling. It's natural to want to share what you work so hard on. But of course, we need to make sure that we don't become reliant on social media for validation. And some people seem to think that
Guitar.
is a sign of having made it as an artist, that they're successful. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like having a large audience is a bad thing. It's great. But people tend to overestimate the benefits
There we go.
of just
Maybe
having
just like a
followers.
city in the background.
Unfortunately, you can't eat followers, and you can't use them to pay rent. Actually, I wonder if my landlord will accept rent in the form of likes and retweets. I personally know a lot of artists out there with huge Twitter or Instagram accounts that are barely making ends meet. And like I said before, visibility is
Well.
a great thing. It can help you find
Oops,
clients,
let me
try selling
just
merch, or start a Patreon, but it
take
doesn't
all
automatically
that
mean
and
that
pretend I
you're
didn't make
making money.
that
So
mistake.
instead of that, let's talk about some less well-known art careers where you definitely don't need a massive social media account. Sometimes it feels like the entertainment industry is all artists like to talk about, and it sort of makes sense. A lot of people who learn to draw are inspired by movies, comics, TV shows, and games. But did you know that there are actually a ton of interesting art jobs out there that people might not really know about? I'll give you a couple of examples. How do you feel about books? You can be a book cover illustrator. There are plenty of books out there that need eye-catching illustrations for their covers to get people to buy them. Or if you want your illustrations
There we go.
inside the book as well,
Cut and
you could
paste.
try being a children's book illustrator. Alternatively, if you have an interest in science, you can be a scientific illustrator for textbooks. Did you
There
know
we
that there
go.
are people who get to draw dinosaurs for a living? However, if books aren't exactly your jam, you could do illustrations for marketing.
I
Or
just
how
like
about creating
that.
merch to sell at in-person art or anime conventions?
What?
If you're at a
Holy
physical
fuck.
location, your art and products will speak for themselves rather than having anything to do with the number of followers you have. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that there are other
There we
options
go.
out there, so don't limit yourself into thinking you have to follow one specific path. So, being an art artist is hard enough already, and I wanted people to know that there are more alternatives out there than most people think. Once again, I'm not saying that marketing isn't important. Just make sure not to get your priorities mixed up. I'm just hoping that this video gives people a
I hope
little
my
insight and
art
helps people
teacher
understand that you don't necessarily
who
have to
taught me
hit this major
perspective
follow
would be
to get the
proud of
followers.
this
Thank you so much for watching.
city
If this video
that
was
I'm
helpful at all,
drawing
consider
here.
following the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye. Hello, it's Evil Peacat here. Are you tired of all these YouTube videos that
Evil Peacat. Oh no.
What if you don't
Forgot
want
about
to
this
make
video.
art? What if you want to draw the same forever and ever? Where are the tutorials for that? Well, I'm proud to announce that I made a video just for you. I've worked incredibly hard to put together the hottest and most effective set of tips to make sure you improve as little as possible. You don't want to miss this.
Okay,
To start
that's
with, the
good.
most surefire way to never improve is simply
Put,
obviously do not
is anyone
draw.
commenting? No, nobody's.
Say, but
Oh wait, no, people are commenting. Oh wait, no. Oh wait, I didn't see all these comments. Oh wait. Oh, I missed a lot of followers. I miss Cone.
tutorial videos you like, and you can also
Miss
make
Cone.
as much as you like. You just have to make
Sorry,
sure
Cone.
that you never
If you're still here,
thinking
comment
hard
some
and getting all
stupid
stressed
shit.
about it, that's totally fine. In fact, thinking,
Um,
or at least overthinking, is the secret
shit.
to prevent yourself
Shit.
from drawing. So let me share some tips
Anyway,
and tricks
Andy
that
became a
you can
follower.
use
Thank you,
without
Andy.
ever touching that pencil. So the secret is actually to
Anyway,
make sure that
y'all should
you
look at my
yourself
y'all should look at my YouTube at Skittles. So that you can see my drawing. This is actually pretty cool.
Just look at how much better their art
Oogity
is,
boogity.
and tell yourself that this is clearly because they're super talented and not because they've been drawing since they were -3 or something, and that technically in terms of hours they've drawn at least 10
There we
times
go.
more than you have. That's all irrelevant. Just ignore it. Just focus on age because it's the only number that matters. In fact, if you really think about it, you're probably too old to even try drawing. How long is it going to take to get good at art? 5 years? Maybe 10? How old are you now? Imagine being middle-aged before getting good at art. It's so much easier.
Okay,
to
okay.
be middle-aged and not good at art, since, you know, the time will pass regardless. And if you're already feeling old, you may
Okay, let
as
me
well not even start because
let me
there's
make a new
ways
folder.
Just disregard the fact that there are millions of people much older than you that are always learning new things. all
Okay,
the
so
time. Just don't think about it because you're definitely too old. I also want to warn you about something really dangerous that will make you improve, regardless of age. Hey, it's Business Pika here.
There we go.
And I'm here to introduce the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. I've been wanting to refresh
Just
my
let me
knowledge
turn
of
down
drawing, and Skillshare has been great for
there.
that. I've been checking out Chris Hall's class, which is super
I said turn down the perspective. I mean turn down the opacity. Christ.
Skillshare is the largest online learning community with classes by creatives for creatives. If there's any skill you want to learn, there are
Look, I'm an idiot. I missed a lot of stuff because I didn't scroll down in chat.
film, animation,
That is me. I currently have, wow, that is Petroflex. I have 15 viewers on reality, and I hate my voice that I'm doing right now. Please stop me. Please. Please. Anyway, so back to what I was doing. Okay. I'm gonna do some freaking line art.
But what if comparing yourself to others isn't really
Okay, so
I know that people have said things like don't compare with other people, only compare with your past self, yada yada.
let me see if I have any
Some
cool
people
manga
do
pens
that.
that I can use. Oh, I have this one. I like this one.
Trick that you can try
I think
instead.
I like this one.
That you're related
Yes, I do. I love this one.
and not the process.
Oh, this looks so good. Okay.
Enjoying the act of drawing, don't, because none of that matters. Only the results.
This is a good pen.
You wanna pay
It's a really good
attention
pen.
to the number of likes that you're
What
getting.
should I do first? I'm gonna go for the horns
If
first.
it didn't go viral, what's the point? Because clearly, the best judge of good art is strangers on the internet that probably have no art background. Hopefully, thinking this way will properly discourage you from
Why is my reality model breaking?
You may be unfortunately cursed with strong mental fortitude. So let's try changing your strategy up. Instead of focusing on the mindset, let's try looking at the actual physical tools.
Stop breaking, model.
Take a look at some incredible
Let me.
digital artists.
Okay.
What kind of tools do they use?
Something
Like
Line art sketch pen.
Oh, that costs a lot. You don't have that kind of money, right? I guess it's time to start saving up because there's no point starting until you have the same tools as great artists out there to give yourself the best chance possible, right?
Okay, this is not the
Creative artists
best
are nothing
pen.
more than just pencil and paper.
Let me see what I have here in clip.
Different media. Just put that out of your mind for now. It's clearly a much better idea to spend tons of money before you even know you like drawing. Okay, despite all these amazing tips that I'm giving you, what if your self-control isn't really that good and you just can't stop yourself from drawing? You know, I get it. It's understandable. But don't worry, because it's not beyond saving. Here are some tips to avoid improvement even while drawing. So the best tip, I think, is to stay within your comfort zone. Only draw what you know and keep doing it. Never try anything new. Unfortunately, you will still improve within your comfort zone, but at least you can limit improvement in other areas. But how
Now I'm
do you
going
make
back
sure that
to
you never leave
something
your
like the
comfort
G
zone?
pen.
For one thing, make sure that you
Maybe
never
this one
use
would work.
reference. It's cheating somehow.
No.
Because it's definitely cheating to use reference. I'm not exactly sure how, but it's definitely bad
Mapping pen?
for some reason. If you're a
Yeah,
artist, you should be able to
mapping
do
pen.
everything
I'm
with
different.
animation, even if you've never seen that thing in your life. The real danger of reference is that you might learn how things actually look, which might
Okay, I'm just gonna use the G pen. Oh, fuck, that's big.
Here's another
Stop being so big. Pause.
Draw specific things is bad, but it would be even worse to accidentally learn your fundamentals. I know you've probably heard
Oh,
of fundamentals
fuck.
before. Stuff like gesture, composition, form drawing, color theory, that kind of stuff. And when you're studying these fundamentals, you need to use references. And it'll make you a lot better at art if you properly do this. That's why it's so important to avoid. Besides, practicing fundamentals is really hard to do, and you don't want to do hard stuff, right? So better avoid that. So
There we
don't do
go.
it. So while I've given
It's
you
looking-
plenty of tips
it's looking
and
okay.
strategies so far, I do understand that accidents can happen. Like, what if you trip and accidentally practice gesture drawing? Don't worry, that's
What if you trip and accidentally practice gesture drawing is crazy.
to ensure you stop as soon as possible. A good thing to try here is to make sure that studying is as boring as possible. Fortunately, most people don't find studying inherently fun, so there are
Okay, there we
things they
go.
do to make it more fun. For example,
Gonna-
studying with friends, learning together, or maybe streaming their progress so it's more interesting. Ideally, you want to study alone in a dark room for at least 40 hours a day. Remember, it's
Increasing the line weight a little up here.
Isn't that a little bit counterintuitive? We're trying to avoid improving, right? And studying makes you improve. So, shouldn't you want to take lots of breaks to make sure you study less? That's not quite right. Think about what taking breaks does. It gives your brain some time to rest, and you can get inspired by things around you. If you don't take breaks, you end up exhausting yourself, and hopefully, this is what we're going for, you burn yourself out. So this is a really great long-term solution, because once you're burned out, you won't want to study for a
There
very
we go.
long time. In order to increase your likelihood of burning out, you also want to make sure that you never ever draw for fun. What you're trying to do is associate the act of picking up a pencil with pain. You want to dread picking it up. To help with this, you can also try setting unrealistic deadlines. For example, if you can't paint the Mona Lisa in 6 months of studying, then you may as well just give up because you clearly aren't talented enough. Okay, I have given you so many tips. Surely at least one
No.
helps for you, right? No? Are your art habits still healthy despite all that? Well,
Okay.
I have one final option for you. If
Here we
you
go.
can't help but do studies and do them in a healthy way, then at least you can make sure that your studies are as ineffective as possible. So,
Okay,
here's
I like that.
for you. Even if you don't study perfectly, you will still see improvements. Even imperfect studies can potentially make you improve a lot. But of course, it's still best to try to limit that improvement as much as possible. So what you do is that you autopilot. Never think while you draw. If you're copying a photo, you don't want to do things like think about the construction of your subject. If you're studying from an artist, you don't want to think about intent. Just copy, don't think. Like I said, you won't be able to prevent all improvement, but hopefully, by doing it this way, you can lessen it. Alright, with the help of all of these
There
tips,
we go.
I hope they'll help you draw the same and never improve for many years to come. If any of them come in handy, draw the subscribe button, but remember not to use reference because that's cheating. Lastly, this is a joke, but I'm sure you've all realized that by now. Hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you next time, okay? Bye!
Freak. Ah, my lines.
I think everyone hears this all the time. If you want to get good at art, you're gonna have to practice. A lot.
Oh, what the freak was that sound?
You do, but for some reason, drawing
Is that my nibs scraping against the... Oh, God.
supposed to have fun.
That was an ugly sound.
Doesn't even look good.
What?
Maybe you feel stuck because you feel like you've been working
Oh, that's a
so hard to
weird
get
ass sound.
better. I know how it
I
feels.
don't like that.
Trust me, because oh boy, I've been there. It took me a while,
Stop it.
but eventually I
I'm
managed
making
to
this.
learn to enjoy art again. And in this video, I'll try to explain how I got there. So, getting frustrated with your art is understandable, especially if you're just getting started. But this applies even if you've been at it for a while. You've spent so long on this one drawing. You've been working so hard. But somehow, it just doesn't come out like you want it to. That's frustrating. I think one
My
of the
head,
things that comes
because
to
my
mind
headphones.
is that some people really
Streamer
don't
dents are
understand.
real.
They don't understand how much time you really
I
need
should
to
wear
make art.
earbuds while I stream if I can find long enough
That
ones,
looks more like
so I don't
this.
get the headphone dent.
I think this misunderstanding makes sense because all people see from artists is the final results, the final painting, or maybe just the time lapse from one single painting. They're not really seeing all the practice and training the artist did to be able to get to that point in the first place.
Sorry about that.
Watching an artist's time lapse and just copying their process rarely works. You can't copy the process without one
Who
illustration
is
and
here?
expect it to
It's
turn
still
out
the
the
same people.
You also have to keep in mind
Or
all the
they're probably
practice the artist
no.
did before even starting this one
Sure.
illustration. I think it kind of makes sense if we compare art to long distance running. I don't think anyone in the world expects a couch potato to be able to start running ultra marathons anytime soon, even if he did practice really hard.
There we go.
But somehow you get artists getting immediately discouraged that their art isn't looking good right away. Like running, art takes consistent practice and dedication in order to build up your skills. But running has one big advantage over art in that your progress is clear and measurable. You get faster, you can run farther, you can easily see that you're getting better. You don't really get that in art. In fact, I think people are notoriously bad at noticing their own improvements. So, this is just a hypothesis, but I think that's also why so many artists tend to cling to social media. I feel like we all know that social media success does not equate good art, but at least there are numbers. At least we can measure it, and at least we can see the number go up. Okay, maybe you're like, whatever, YouTube video. I already know all this stuff. I know it takes a long time, but I'm not improving. I keep doing all the stuff everyone is telling me to, but I'm not getting any better. So, this is what we call a plateau. Often, when people first start learning a new skill, they quickly start seeing improvements. They get encouraged and keep going. But then, they hit a wall. And I'm just gonna say, that's just how it works. Plateaus are inevitable, and the sooner you can accept that, the better. People tend to want to believe that improvement is linear and the graph looks like this. The more effort and time you put in, the better you get. Except,
Freak.
the reality is, it looks
No,
to feel
my model crapped out on me again.
I used to get so with results and improvement that
God
I felt
dang it.
weird whenever I started a new drawing. What if the drawing wasn't good? What if I wasn't
Let me
What if I wasn't talented?
re-put my model
What
up
if all
there.
this was just a waste of
What time is it?
I spent
Okay.
more time worrying about
I'm looking to go to 10 my time again. So approximately like 2 hours. I think that's a good goal for first stream. About 2 hours. View single app. Ta-da. There we go. Okay. Let me. Da 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 da. Now let me. Properties. There we go. I am back. My model is back on YouTube on YubTub. Yeah. If you don't understand the YubTub reference, watch Mitchell's versus the Machines. That's good. That's a good ass movie.
Do you like illustration? Do you like designing characters? That's something you'll have to find out. Because if you genuinely have fun drawing, you'll find that it becomes much easier to keep up the habit. I think people tend to overestimate their own ability to do things that they don't enjoy. Just think about how crowded the gym is in January and compare it to how it looks in February just 1 month later. Another thing, how do you feel when you see art
There we
that's
go.
better than yours? Do you feel inspired? Or yourself that you can't draw like that. I definitely used to feel unhappy whenever I saw better artists out there. It even got to the point where I stopped looking at other artists altogether. I just felt so bad about myself. And instead of being able to celebrate my fellow artists' successes, I was only bitter that they could do what I could not. It was definitely not a good point in my life, and
There
I'm
we go.
grateful that I was able to move past that. It definitely took a while.
You know,
to
honestly,
understand
I'd like
that
to
process.
believe I have an
The
okay
first
art
time I was to
mentality.
myself exactly how long
Like,
people
I'm just trying to get on myself to improve because I want to go to Cal Arts
drawing. In my opinion, that's
for
just
college.
not really a very useful metric. Drawing for a year
So,
can mean that they drew for an hour
yeah.
every weekend, or that they were literally grinding for 10 hours a day. There's a really huge range in what 1 year means. So I didn't realize that initially. I picked up drawing relatively late, so initially it was really frustrating to me that people 10 years younger than me were so much better than I was, and they still are. But despite being so much younger than me, those people have probably practiced far more than I have. I spent most of my life not drawing. It makes sense that they're better than me. So expecting myself to be as good as them with so much less work put in
Sick
means that
transition.
I kind of expected myself to be some kind of super genius, which, well, no, I'm obviously not. So it doesn't make sense for me to expect myself to be as good as them because I just haven't practiced as much as they have. So instead of worrying about whether I had that talent, I just decided to draw instead of worrying about what I can't change anyway. I started to be a little bit more patient and kinder to myself, and that made drawing so much less stressful for me. Okay, so this was a little rambly, but if you managed to make it all the way to the end, thanks. And if you are, understandably, frustrated about art, I hope it helped you a little bit. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you did the YouTube stuff, and if there's anything else you'd like to see from me, please let me know. So, good luck out there, artists, and remember to have fun. What does talent mean to you guys? What do you think about when I say talent? This is more of a mental health discussion, I think. Talent doesn't exist, skill, however, does. Hard work clears talent. Me? Oh, wow, I don't know. I don't think I'm very particularly talented. So I think I'm seeing a little bit of a consensus here. Everyone thinks, talent does not exist at all. Practice is what matters, right? Hard work is definitely more important than talent.
That looks very weird. What the freak?
Which I agree. Do you think it exists at all? Is there nothing distinct?
Oh, what is that?
What does talent really mean? So this is what I think.
Oh no.
Exist, and in fact, it can make quite a large difference. I believe that
Oh
someone
hell no.
talented, they still have to put in a lot of hard work, but it's possible that they can pick up concepts faster, and that their absolute peak, if
Okay.
there is a peak in
Let
art,
me
might be harder than someone who doesn't have
turn
talent, but if they
off
don't put in the hard work, it will
my
amount to
line
anything.
art layer for a second so I can
Next
fix this
question.
freaking
If you
hand.
knew for a fact that you are less talented than someone, how will that make you feel? Like, you know that another person, maybe someone close to you, works harder than you at art, say, because since we are artists, how does that make you feel? I think it can be a rather large advantage, yeah. Inspired? Don't
You know, I really like my character's name because I think it's really ironic. Because Casca, from what I searched, it means it's kind of like more like a calm, quiet, more minimalist name. But she is kind of this like loud personality, because she's a demon, and this is who she likes being. This is who she wants to be. She likes being. She likes being kind of loud, She likes being big, loud.
There are a lot of people out there in the world. I cannot be number one. And the fact that I could not be number one left me in a horrible depression all the time. The gifted kid situation. Yes, I used to be a gifted kid. That's probably my issue, right? You feel like you're a shonen protagonist and you need to defeat them all. Yeah, exactly. That was me. So am I the only one who thinks like that? Because am I uniquely messed up? Did you need to be number one or at least unrealistically good? I literally really needed to be number one, which meant that if I wasn't number one, I was basically failing, which meant that I basically failed at everything I ever done in my entire life. That was my mindset for the majority of my entire life. Because when you're like a teenager in high school or something, or primary school,
There we go.
or wherever you're gifted at, I feel like it's pretty easy to be in the scenario where like you're a big fish in a small pond. Like, how big is your class? How big is your school? Not very big. So being number one is like not that hard. And then you enter the real world, and yeah, that's not happening, by the way. I spent a really long time trying to overcome that feeling of pathologically needing to be the very best, like a Pokemon trainer. I was kind of thinking for someone like, I was trying to think like, what's a good response to someone who is saying like, I don't think I can learn art because even though I work really hard, I'm just untalented. So I know it.
That's actually really good. I like that. I like that. Okay.
Then, like, why do you need to be good at things? Is that really so important? I mean, yes, if you're hanging everything on that and you need, that's another discussion to have. If your livelihood depends on it, then of course, like, you would feel some stress about it. But then, a lot of people saying this are people who, like, have just started and they're doing it as a hobby. We're stupidly taught from childhood that being bad at something should equate to your self-worth. Yeah, right? You better be good at it, or else what good are you? Yeah. Well, first you would ask why you want to be better, because for you want to tell your story with art and put
Oh my god, my model crapped out again on YouTube.
you should feel, I feel like it's better to feel inspired when you
Ugh.
do good artwork rather
You know, there's nothing I'm doing about this.
than angry. And
My model has crapped out on YouTube for the last time.
basically all the time, I was always bitter. I was always angry, and that's a miserable way to exist, honestly. And again, I feel like there is a bit of difference between those of us who are drawing for fun. I mean, I'm still not really a professional artist. I don't really have a goal necessarily. Obviously, there's a lot more pressure if you're hanging your entire livelihood and ability to pay rent on this skill of yours. But that's something for another time, I think. Who determines what's the best art? I didn't even think this through. I was so far from being number one, I didn't even think to figure that out. You never felt anger at someone else's art? I wasn't really, back then I wasn't angry at the other person. I was angry at myself for not being able to do it. Especially with comparing at where you're based off another artist's skill and age. That made me especially mad. I mentioned this before, but measuring someone's age, an age is like a terrible way of trying to determine how much work someone has put into being an artist, right? There are people literally half my age, I think, that are far better of an artist than I ever will be, frankly, and I've accepted this. That's okay, because I no longer have to be the best whole thing, but in the grand scheme of things, who cares? Because I picked up art like way later than most
There we
people.
go.
So I was in my 30s, and there are 21-year-olds that are like way better than I am. But they started drawing probably when they were like 10 or something. One thing with age is that 16-year-olds now have nearly full art courses worth of tutorials online for free. Yeah, exactly. Back in my day, we just had lousy how to draw manga books that look like this. So like, you know, how are you supposed to learn? I didn't know you were able to study stuff. Measuring by age is so harmful, even to the people who are young, because they also eventually grow up and have to live with not being young and talented. Exactly, right? I mean, at some point you're like, wow, you draw really well for like a 15-year-old or something, and people are all saying that and you feel good. I used to use that crutch because I used to draw when I was younger, but like I said, at some point I grew up and I was no longer good for like a 19-year-old, so I just stopped. I just quit drawing because I wasn't that talented kid anymore. Needing validation.
I think it's probably definitely still a little big, but it's okay. It's okay. I'm fine.
We're not drawing purely for ourselves. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I'm
It's
not like
okay.
sit there in their room.
We all make mistakes, except I'm gonna have to live with mine. Well, we all have to live with our mistakes, but fuck.
Doesn't have to be a lot of people, but
Mistakes, am I right?
I think we all deserve that someone, which is why I
Reminds me of that Omni-Man meme. It was like,
so we can have
Mark,
someone
I made a steak.
voicing it
A steak?
which can feel like
Yes.
pressing into a void. I think, you know, growing together and getting some validation from some people is good, but purely relying on validation will always be a little bit risky, yeah. I'm not that old. I mean, realistically, in terms of, like, reality, like, real life, IRL, I don't know if you guys are much in the habit of touching grass, but usually in the outside world, I'm considered pretty young still. It's just on Twitch, everyone calls me an auntie or a grandma, so it depends on where you are, right? We were talking about talented children, but I think we mostly wrapped up that conversation, right? Like, the pathological need to be the very best can be really harmful to artists.
There we go. I like
I
that.
think we found that a lot of, like, so-called talented children are often stuck with this mindset, and I was one of them. And if I knew I couldn't be the best at something, I often wouldn't even try. That resonates. You avoided specializing in more illustration, concept art related to university because you couldn't stand competing and not being the best. You realize that despite your constantly shifting interests over the time, your desire to art has always been there. ADHD does make things difficult. I suppose I may have had things quite a bit easier than
There
else.
we go.
Despite all my
Yeah,
neuroticism,
how's everyone doing tonight? I forgot to ask that, or whatever time it is for you in your time zone. How are you?
It's what matters most, and you learn something out of it even better. Oh, I completely agree with that. I really like telling people that the most important thing in art is finding what you enjoy, is finding your fun. I don't like illustration, so I don't do a lot of it.
There we go.
I don't enjoy it. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. I recently learned that rendering and shading is okay, but I wouldn't really say I'm an affinity for it. I like sketching. You thought I was young till you watch the stream. Why? Is it because I know the lingo of the youth to camouflage myself? I can like stick up my gap for the Rizzler if that's what you need me to do, but nah, I'm old.
There we go. Just color that in just to separate it a little bit.
How would you guys react if I said that you can learn anything, almost? And that's not being delusional. I think a lot of people get overwhelmed when they see all that there is to learn and they just sort of shut down. Because I know that because I used to be one of those people. You can learn anything. Whether or not you will is up to you. That part is true as well.
There we go.
So overall, the process of learning absolutely anything is really, really simple. You just break down big problems into smaller problems. Almost everything, right? Within reason. Find something you want to learn, like say art, rocket science, programming, anything. It's kind of like this giant mountain that's super overwhelming. You're like, I can't climb that mountain. It's too tall. There's no way I could do it. You don't even want to start doing it. But if you look at that mountain carefully, if you just break it up, it's actually, you can think of it as a number of very small hills, actually, right? Maybe you
There
can
we
climb a
go.
mountain, but you can climb a little hill. And if those hills are still too big, you can break them down further into smaller and smaller hills. Heck, you can break them down into each individual step. If you do it one step at a time, you'll eventually
Take
climb
it
any mountain,
one
right?
step at a time and you'll find your way. Have y'all ever watched Apple and Onion? Such a peak show. Such a peak show.
Resources and then fail. Obviously, you don't have infinite time and resources to climb the mountain. But I feel like in a lot of cases, you don't have to give yourself deadlines and time pressure. Giving yourself a time limit of infinity isn't always feasible because, you gotta pay rent, you gotta survive, there are things you have to do. But for the most part, let's say you're learning art as a hobby, you don't need to tell yourself things like, well, if I'm not Da Vinci, if I don't paint the Mona Lisa in a year, then I'm terrible at it and I'm gonna quit. There's no reason to do that to yourself. And even if you do fail, hopefully you learn something along the way. And then you can just try again because you don't have time pressure. I think time pressure, setting yourself time pressure and deadlines, that's the thing that makes things seem overwhelming, right? Okay, I'm gonna climb this mountain in 2 hours. That's crazy. You can't do that. But I'm gonna climb this mountain eventually. That's not that scary, is it? That's not that bad. You can do it. Like the thing you're trying to do, whatever it is, programming, art, learning to build an airplane, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna take a lot of time, and you should respect that things are hard and take time, but you can tackle them one step at a time. But you want to climb a mountain in 2 hours, and in that case, you're setting yourself up to fail before you've even begun. Don't do that. Do you guys think that sounds kind of weirdly overconfident?
There we go.
Like saying that you can learn anything, that still sounds weird, right? Yeah, you still need to be realistic. Maybe a little bit, because I'm saying it for myself, so people might be wondering where this confidence comes from, right? Like, it seems a little delulu, just a bit, right? Maybe a lot delulu. I can kind of explain where this confidence is coming from. It's kind of unfortunate, but I feel like the confidence in being able to learn anything, it comes from trying stuff and gradually succeeding and realizing that actually, if you give yourself time and you put
There we go.
very little is actually out of your reach. You're not one to enough to show yourself to be realistic. Oh, I'm being totally realistic. I'm not saying anyone can learn to be art.
Okay, about halfway into the stream here. This is actually good for me. I like this. I like this. Having the discipline to... Oh, I could keep a chat up now since my model's not on my freaking YouTube at the current moment. What the fuck was that? Oh, someone's outside. scared me for a second. I thought I heard like a tiny man in here, someone talking on my phone. But nope, just voices in my head and my headphone. It's just the voices, guys. Just the voices.
And less huge than some of the things you guys want to achieve, right? But in the end, it's still the same thing. It's about having big problems and then breaking them down into smaller and smaller, more digestible issues until you can tackle those smaller issues. And after you solve those and you understand how to learn, once you learn how to learn, then you slowly get that confidence like, you know what, I can probably learn how to do anything. For something you feel as though nothing works, you've had that thought process before, and at least you do not try and never change, failure is inevitable, to be honest. It seems kind of stupid, right? Well, you get the confidence to achieve by achieving, okay? But I had to start from somewhere. I don't know where you can magic the confidence out of nowhere, but I can tell you how I started. When I was in my early mid-20s, I was a total and complete and absolute failure. I had flunked out of university so many times. I literally was about to get kicked out of my third school or something. I had never achieved anything of note. I was never able to do anything. Everything I tried just ended in failure. At that point, I felt like I was like a dead loser. At a certain point, I started thinking everything I've ever tried in my life has failed. I didn't even want to try anymore. But then I figured like, well, what happens if I try and I fail again? Well, if you think about it, I failed so many times. Like, what does that even matter? Just add one more failure to the pile, right? It doesn't matter. Actually, at this point, I can do anything. I'm literally at rock bottom. I'm at zero. The only way to go is up at this point, don't you think? I'm free to do anything now. I cannot get any worse than I am right now. You think the hard part is imagining results in the long term, as in visualizing them in a concrete way. The older you get, the more you've seen that yourself, so it becomes easier to understand. Yeah, especially when you're young and you haven't experienced a lot, it's really hard to visualize that. I completely agree. Also, if you want to compare yourself to something, to have some sort of achievement, try to compare with your past self. Yeah, exactly. That's one way of going about it. To be honest, I feel like I'm so used to failing at this point. Like, I don't even see the word failure as negative anymore. I think if you fail,
Failure.
completely screw up, and then they get up and they try
You
again,
are
like,
failure.
I know.
You will
It's
become
funny to say,
doctor.
I consider myself an
Okay, I'm
expert
sorry
at
about
failing.
that.
I failed
If I
so
have
many times.
offended anyone here
Sometimes
today,
people have even tried things. I was gonna say
I deeply,
failure
deeply
is
apologize.
unavoidable, but honestly embrace failure because it's how you learn, okay? Let's say there are two paths.
Okay.
One of them is wrong, one of them is right. If you choose one at random and you just completely luck out and you go on the right path, good for you, you didn't have to struggle, but that's good, okay? But you didn't learn anything from that. But if you RNG poorly, you choose randomly, you go down the wrong path, you're like, oh, crap. And then you start
Scheiße.
learning, okay, that was wrong. You start paying attention, okay, why was this path wrong? Let's say you're an adventure, traveling down two paths, like, oh yeah, that path, it looks like it leads into a scary cave. Maybe next time, I won't do that. Then you lower your chance of failure the next time. You learn. That's what failure is for. It's literally part of the process. So you shouldn't feel too beat down when you fail. That's how you learn things. Because once you accept the fact that failure is actually just part of the process, it's not avoid it when you can, but it's like it's completely unavoidable. Sometimes the best way to start a task that seems insurmountable is just to go try, okay? Just try. Jump in and try. Like, yeah, you want to write a novel? Write the worst novel you can because even if it's bad, you just did it. Let's say fighting a hard boss in a video game. Jump in. Try the moves out. That's the only way you do it. Socializing and trusting people? Well, get out there and try to talk to somebody and see how that goes. If it didn't do well, take note and see maybe you can improve next time. But let's say you're learning some new software.
I was
You've never done
using
it
like
before, so you open up
12
Blender,
before,
and you're
yeah.
like, okay, I want to learn how to do stuff. You start by following a random tutorial. Doesn't matter which. You go in there and then you just solve those problems one at a time. You're like, okay, I don't know how to make a primitive shape. You look up on Google, how do I make a primitive shape in Blender? Okay, you learn, you do that. Oh, I don't know how to move the camera. You look that up. Just solve those issues as they arise. It's a fine way to start doing things. For instance, let's say like I want to start learning how to game program. How do I make games? These aren't going to be the very best resources, but they will serve as starting points. And there are so many tutorials here you can try. You have to be careful with sources, but as a complete beginner, honestly, anything's better than nothing. Here's the thing, even if you choose the wrong path, you're like, oh, I don't really like this, it's not like you're stuck. You can just go back, it's fine. So it's not only just like, if you're a person who learns better with a structured approach, there are also always courses online. There are research papers. There are so many places you can look for information. If there's anything that university teaches you, it's learning how to learn. That's the main thing you should take away. And I feel like just learning how to learn, it applies to absolutely anything. Game dev, art, literal rock rocket science, anything you want. Like, I'm not joking, right? I think some people get overwhelmed with the amount of like resources they get. Let's say art, right? This is where an art stream, an art YouTube, whatever, is like, I mean, people look at how to learn art and it's like, wow, there's color theory, there's gesture, there's anatomy, there's like construction, there's so much stuff. There's so much stuff. Where do I start? My answer is literally vibes. Go with whatever you feel like doing. Because if you go with vibes, there's a chance you'll enjoy the thing more. And if you enjoy the thing more, you'll be incentivized to go learn more of it. Go through vibes. And if you really can't choose through vibes,
Wow, this is a really good illustration that I'm cranking out here. This is so good. What the freak? That's good. That is really good. Why? How? How and why?
Everything is learnable, or if you want to like say it in a way that resonates with the youth, everything is just a skill issue. Just get through it. Anything worth learning, in my opinion, anything that's cool and awesome, that's worth learning, like art, like game programming, right? Like making a game. Anything worth learning is hard. By saying you can learn anything, I am not trivializing these things. I'm not saying they're easy. You can do easy clap. It's easy stuff. It's not easy. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be rough. But you can do it. That's all I'm saying. All right. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I hope that didn't come up as too weird, but like, I just feel like I get it a lot on my stream, right? Like, oh, I want to learn X, but it's scary. I want to learn Y, but I'm scared. I want to learn Z, but I don't think I can do it. You can do it, okay? Picture yourself painting a digital illustration. You like drawing. That means you think you do.
Alright. What? How much battery does my phone have? 45. That is not optimal. That is... Yikes. Okay, I might need to go. Leave my phone for a second later.
For the last couple of hours. You even have a good idea of what you want to draw, yet you can barely bring yourself to open a new canvas. If either of these scenarios sound familiar, there might just be a chance that you're struggling with perfectionism. It's tough, I know, because this was a major issue I wrestled with for a very long time. I'm happy to report, however, that I was eventually able to overcome it. If you want to know how, I'll be sharing the tips and tricks I use to help me get past perfectionism.
You know, my art teacher,
Not only just mindset shifts,
he would have a lot of fun with this piece I'm doing. What he does sometimes is, one time he took some of my sketches, some of my early sketches where I was really, really bad. He Xeroxed them.
Oh, wait, hang on a second. Isn't having high standards good? Won't high standards push you
And
to go
then
beyond
he,
enough? That's true, but it's also
like,
not all good.
then he inked them. He did a line art. Because he's really good at that. He even worked on, actually, Happy Meal toys before, in, like, the 80s.
Want to do. Moderation is key in all things. So I guess just stop having unrealistically high standards. That's easy to say, but how can you actually do it? See, I used to have this problem where I spend ages zoomed all the way in, working on parts of the drawing that nobody would ever look at. So here's what I tried to stop doing that. First, I tried giving myself a time limit. The idea of this is similar to timed gesture drawing, where you do figure drawing with a time limit. This forces you to focus on the most essential parts of the drawing. If you're the type of artist that can't stop noodling over tiny details that no one but you will ever see, this can be an effective exercise. What I did was just set a timer and went for it. This timer can be for as long as you like. It's just an exercise. In gesture drawing, it's anywhere from less than a minute to 30 minutes for a figure drawing. If you want to do a colored illustration, you can try an hour or 2 hours. If you have a time limit, you'll be forced to spend less time fixing individual pixels. And when you're done, you might actually be surprised by how good the results look, even when you don't fix those tiny details. Here's another thing I tried. I didn't let myself zoom in beyond a certain limit. This was kind of tricky for me to pull off because I had already made a subconscious habit of zooming in and out all the time. So what I had to do was unbind or change the zoom hotkey. Okay, listen, it's not like zooming is bad, but I wanted to be zooming in more thoughtfully. I wanted to think about what size the audience would be viewing my art as. Are they really going to zoom into the toenails of the character? Probably not, right? So this can save you a lot of time if you spend more efforts on the focal points of the illustration. If not zooming in is too difficult, you can also try some traditional art for a change of pace, where it's literally impossible to zoom in. Alright, time limits and not zooming in, that sounds fine and all, but what if you still don't like the idea of doing bad
There we
drawings?
go.
Despite all of what I just said, you still love drawing tiny little details. Okay, not to worry. Think of my suggestions more of exercises that you can do to help prioritize the important aspects of an illustration first. After you get the big picture complete, you can always go back to fill in the tiny little details if that's what you want. It just means that you're not forced to do it for every single illustration you do. So that means that finishing illustrations should be far less time consuming. But what if you can't even bring yourself to start the illustration? I don't know about you guys, but for me, my perfectionism was just masking a fear of failure. Everything needed to be perfect, or else I would fail. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to do bad drawings. Even the possibility of not making a great drawing was making me freeze up. How did I manage to overcome this? I think the first thing to understand is that art is really hard. I had a hard time accepting this at first. A question for you though. How long do you think it takes for someone to get good at art? People usually like to throw around the number 10,000 hours to master a skill. Personally, I think it takes way longer than 10,000 hours to master art. Maybe 2, 3, or even 4 times that at least. How long have you been drawing?
There we go.
Please remember to be patient with yourself when you're learning to draw. It's a long, hard process. You don't
Looks
have
good
to
so
get it
far.
right away. For me, it was important to accept that I am stuck, and that's something worth celebrating already. So trying to be patient with myself was one thing, but what did I actually do to help overcome this fear? So what I actually did was change the way I thought about the process of creating an illustration. Let me explain what I mean by that. Previously, all my illustrations started before I even put pen to paper. What I mean, of course, is that all my drawings started with a grand idea. It was a fully fleshed out idea that looked so good in my head. But then that idea ended up putting pressure on me. What if I wasn't able to realize that idea? What if I somehow ruined it? So instead of doing that, I tried flipping the process on its head. Instead of starting with this grand
There we go.
towards it, instead I would just start drawing without having any plan at all. I would just see what happens. And I found it much easier to get started that way. I can't ruin my great idea because I don't even have an idea to begin with. While I'm sketching, if I end up with a sketch I really like, then I can move forward and turn those into illustrations. I found this works a lot better.
We're about 3/4. We're about 3/4 of the way through the entire stream, because my goal is for 2 hours. Oh my god, I keep forgetting to scroll down in chat and I keep not seeing people. Fuck. Yeah, Cohen, I'm not dead. If you're still watching, that is. Hello, everyone. Hello, Kate. Hello, Laura, Liz. Hello, everyone. Thank you for following me, Laura. Alright, let me scroll to the bottom of chat so I can hopefully see y'all typing. There we go.
Specific goal you're working towards. I find the process way less frustrating if I give space for the sketches to suck. But what if, say, you're taking commissions? What if there's a specific idea you have to execute? Then what? Well, in fact, doing multiple sketches and iterations to test a composition or design is a very normal part of a professional artist's process. Even if the general idea is set in stone, there are still tons of ways you could potentially execute that idea. Now that I've changed the way I think and draw, I found that I struggle
I have an
with
idea.
far
I
less
should
perfectionism,
draw
and I
freaking.
enjoy drawing so much more. I hope that this was helpful to someone out there. If it was, do a quick sketch of the subscribe button. It doesn't have to be perfect. Doodle is fine. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you next time, okay? Bye-bye!
Bottle of Calpico on the ground. Hello, Queen of Happiness. Thank you for joining.
If you've been drawing for a while, one of the worst things you can encounter is
Calpico.
you want to draw, or at least you think you do. For some reason, you can't quite get yourself to pick up a pencil, or maybe you can't even think of anything to draw. Or even
God,
if
I'm
you are,
tired.
For some reason, none of the drawings are coming out properly.
Thank God I don't have a driver's
How do you
ed
fix
class
this?
tomorrow.
How can you overcome art block? So this is something that has happened to me countless times. It's been a really long day at my day job.
I should wait. If I find a way to, I should try to find I should try to find a way to have PCAP critique some of my art.
I'm excited to get started. I really want to draw. I feel like I should draw. I need to draw to get better at it. But for whatever reason, I just can't get myself to do it. Why the heck does this happen? Well, for me, there were a lot of different reasons. One of the main ones was that I was scared. I was fearful that my drawing wasn't going to turn out how I wanted. Essentially, I had a major fear of failure, and that's not easy to overcome. But it's something I had to accept eventually. After all, failure is one of the best teachers. And that's easy to say, but failure is scary. Because what if I actually picked up a pencil and started drawing and failed? What then? Well, then I realized I guess I'd have a bad drawing. I then realized that failing at a single drawing was probably one of the best ways to face my fear of failure. Making a single bad drawing doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't even mean I'm a bad artist. But what if it's not just one bad drawing? What if I failed at making a good drawing? Forever? How do you know if you'll ever be good at art? There's just so much to learn and it's overwhelming. To be honest, I don't think anyone ever knows if they'll be as good at art as they want to be. I know I sure don't. And I've made peace with that realization. You can try to maximize your chances, but honestly, nobody really knows whether they'll succeed at something before they try. I may not ever become a great artist. Only the best artist I can be. And that's okay. Besides, learning art takes a really long time. I learned that I had to be patient and that I was putting too much pressure on myself. The artists that I admired so much had spent maybe decades on their craft. Me? Nowhere near as long. And I'm just a normal person. It's fine if it takes me a while. But then again, accepting failure is a lot easier said than done. It was really difficult for me to avoid putting a lot of pressure on myself every time I picked up a pencil. But I found a couple of pressure. For example, not really having a clearly defined goal for each drawing.
Why did my model break? Hello, Alexandria.
Another way of reducing
Welcome to the
pressure is by relaxing
stream.
on apps like magma.com or Gartic Phone. All these things helped, but unfortunately, it wasn't the only thing that was stopping me from drawing. So I used to work as a software engineer, and sometimes prod would be on fire, and I'd be scrambling to get everything working. And more often than
There we
not,
go.
when I got home, I was completely exhausted.
Symbol of
On top of that, being
Osmodius.
depressed also did no favors for my energy level. But since I started learning art so late, I felt like
That's
I had
good.
to do
There we
everything to
go.
catch up to everyone else.
There we go. That's very
I also
good.
had
I
a
like
bad
that.
habit of connecting my self-worth to art
Happy
for
with this.
me. So
I'm
the
at
less I
peace with
managed to do,
this.
The worse I felt. And the worse I felt, the less I was able to do. Okay, now, some people might not want to hear this, but in my experience,
I suck at drawing cats.
Need
Need to get better at that. Like PCAT. Look at freaking PCAT. I mean, you can't look at PCAT right now because videos.
Which is not something a YouTube video can fix. To my absolute chagrin, things like working out, getting
Oh wait, I
sunlight,
gotta
eating well, and
yeah put it
sleeping
back up.
properly
12.
were actually really helpful for my energy levels. And of course, all of this depends on each person's individual circumstances. For some people, it might not be realistic to aim for rapid progression in art because it's incredibly time-consuming. But let's say all that wasn't a problem. Sometimes I had motivation and energy, but I still wasn't able to draw. And that was because I had no idea.
There we
what
go.
was
I have
just
90
drawing
minutes
blank whenever I could
streamed.
think of something. I just didn't have
Yay.
inspiration. But hold on a second. What even is inspiration? How do people even think of things to create? Ideas just don't appear out of a vacuum. For me, it was unlikely that I could just sit in a room and conjure ideas out of nowhere. For me to be able to generate ideas, I first had to nourish my brain. In other words, I had to consume media that inspired me or even
It does look
had
pretty good. I
positive
like that.
experiences. Besides, you don't necessarily
I
always have
do.
to draw
I
completely
like
original
it.
things. You can draw something for a friend or a
Ugh!
There's no shortage of people out there looking for art of something. You can draw fan art of your favorite media. And one really good reason for having an OC, or original character, is that if all else fails, you could always just draw them. Personally, since I find my own art skills lacking, I'm happy to do studies or practice things that I find challenging to draw. You don't really need to be inspired to do this. But at this point, I think I should make a confession. Lacking motivation, or energy, or inspiration, these were all problems I had, but that was in the past. I don't really struggle that much with this nowadays. Does that mean I don't get art blocked? Does that mean I draw for hours and hours every single day? Well, also no. At the time of writing, I haven't touched a pencil for about a month. I'm very, very busy playing video games. See, one thing I don't do is that I don't guilt trip myself if I need a break or if I simply don't feel like drawing. Because when I do draw, I tend to get a slightly different kind of art block. So picture this. I'm ready and I'm excited to draw. And I start drawing. The first drawing doesn't really turn out well, but that's okay. I just move on to the next one. But the second one isn't good either. Or the third. Or any of the other ones. It feels like there's some kind of mental block in my brain that's preventing me from drawing how I usually do. What's going on? One thing I had to realize is that drawing is sometimes a little bit like sports. How well you perform can vary depending on your condition. If you're unwell or tired, you might not be able to perform at your best. But there's also a little element of randomness as well. Some drawings you just seem to luck out and end up with something way beyond your current skill level should be able to achieve. And sometimes it's the opposites. You can mitigate this randomness with study and practice, but I don't think you can ever really completely get rid of it. I think of this randomness a little bit like a gacha game. You can check this video right here for more detail. I left a link in the description. But anyway, I learned that some days I'm just not able to perform optimally, and that's normal. But some people might think that this doesn't quite make sense. Aren't there professional artists out there that draw every single day for work? They seem to be able to overcome this randomness or lack of motivation and seem to be able to avoid art block entirely. What's their secrets? So I really don't have much experience as a professional artist myself, just a few months. But I did talk to a bunch of real pros to see how they deal with the issue. One suggestion that came up a few times was to have a concrete drawing process. If you approach every drawing the exact same way, it frees up your mind from having to figure out what to do next, and it makes it easier to replicate past work. Another thing is that they tend to disconnect the process of drawing from motivation or energy levels entirely. Remember, as much as you might love drawing, as a professional artist, this is how you pay your bills. Even if you don't want to, or even if you're tired, you're still going to have to go to work. But what about the problem of not being able to draw well that day? I think one thing that some people don't realize is that pro artists do not always draw in their tip-top best condition.
Dang, this is tiring. Hi Yasu, hi. How are you? Thanks Yasu, bye.
You can still put out really great work. Anyway, art block can be a little tricky.
Oh wait.
Because it seems like
No,
everyone understands it slightly differently.
I thought you left. Hi. What do you mean I sound different?
Thank you so much for watching, and I'll
Hi.
catch you next time. Bye-bye.
What do you mean I sound different, Yasu?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm streaming on my YouTube as well.
This has improved my mindset more than anything
What
else I've
the fuck? 1 second. This is YouTube is not responding.
Up Nights, Zone Zero,
Yeah, I could give you the
or
link.
one of the many other gacha games out there.
I could give you
How
the
would you
link.
feel if I told you that
Let me
drawing
give
is
you the
not
link
just
after
about
this
gacha
stream.
games?
After this stream, I will give you the link. I have like maybe 20 more minutes
You're telling me you
before the
don't see
stream's
it?
over. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to explain some
I'm really happy with how this art piece is turning out. You should watch the streams get saved on my channel.
The word gacha
So
comes from
bye.
Japan.
Streams are saved on my channel, so you should watch it.
From Japan. You put money in, spin the crank, and a little capsule with a toy, and it comes out. The important thing is that you don't get to choose what kind of toy you're getting.
Okay.
You get a random toy from a particular collection, and that randomness is part of the fun. I live in Hong things are everywhere. I'd love to collect more of them, but the unfortunate side effect of living in Hong Kong is that you have to live in a Hong Kong-sized apartment, so I don't really have anywhere to put them. But anyway, this concept of getting random items is one that got adapted into video games, resulting in the gacha game. Each gacha game usually comes with a cast of flashy, exciting characters that promise thrills and fun times, except you don't actually get to play as those characters. No. Like capsule machines, you'll have to cross your fingers, crank that lever, and hope that the right character pops out. You're at the mercy of RNG, which is short for random number generator.
Wait, is this?
So at this point,
Yes, this is Picat's drawing is like gacha game, gacha video.
Isn't controlled by random number generators. Art is controlled by my brain and my hands.
Hello, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. This is gonna be scuffed, but yeah, Nihongo.
I kind of suck at sketching. The vast majority of my sketches just really don't look that good. Some people might protest and say, "Wait, Pika, what do you mean?" As they scroll through my social media feed. You're not bad at sketching. These look fine. No, unfortunately, that's not how it works. I don't.
私日本語悪い。I don't know how to say bad. I forgot it.
By looking at my social media accounts alone, you can actually tell how many bad sketches I had to go through in order to get this one decent drawing. And I can promise you that there were a lot.
I should dedicate a couple streams to wow, 3 views on YouTube. That's more than I thought I would get. But I should dedicate some more streams, to learning Japanese. That would be fun. How long have I been streaming for? An hour and 39 minutes.
A gotcha game. And thinking of it in this way actually helps me feel less frustrated. Wait, how does that make sense? Those of you who play gotcha games might be especially confused. Isn't dealing with the randomness of gotcha the frustrating part to begin with? You're trying to get a specific result, but since you don't have control over the process, you have to try over and over and over again. You might even get so frustrated that you end up accidentally entering your
Let's go gambling
and its expiry date into the game. I get it. Accidents happen. But actually, most players don't end up doing that. They play the game without ever spending any money at all. And you have to have a slightly different mindset if you're going to do that. Personally, I don't ever spend money on microtransactions. The fact that I currently don't have a job is completely unrelated to that, by the way. And since I don't have access to resources to get the thing I want from a particular game, I prefer to approach it from a slightly different angle. Instead of trying really hard to get something specific and feeling disappointed when I inevitably don't, I just pull without really expecting anything. And whatever I end up getting, I'll try my best to work with it. It's actually kind of fun, because I get to experiment and adapt with what I have, instead of following the exact same build as everyone else.
Definitely not cooking here or anything.
And I like to apply this exact same mindset to drawing. Like I mentioned earlier, I struggle.
Oh, line art sucks.
That doesn't look like I just tripped and dropped my pen on the canvas. Some sessions I don't end up with any halfway decent sketches at all.
But it actually looks good.
It happens.
I like it.
You won't pull a super ultra rare character every single time either. You just have to keep trying.
It's pretty good.
But hang on, does that really make it less frustrating? If you don't have control over your own art, what if you never
It
get a good
is
sketch,
looking
ever?
pretty
It
good.
really is truly random.
Wow, 313 likes on reality is crazy. That is very crazy. Stop that. Don't stop. I like the validation.
Which means that instead of being truly random, it's a mathematical formula that generates a sequence of numbers that appears random. Keyword, appears. The reality is, random number generators are deterministic. This means that if you give a generator a specific input, it will
Martha,
generate
I'm coming
specific
home, sweetie.
numbers.
I'm back in the fucking building again?
It means that pulls are predetermined.
Snapcube
There isn't
is
anything
peak.
you can do to change the sequence of
Peaky,
characters you're
peaky,
gonna get.
peak.
In order
Ah.
to get to a tasty, super, mega rare character over here, you're just gonna have to pull and pull and pull until you get these trash commons out of the way. I find it really helpful to think about drawing the same way. I have hundreds of thousands of truly terrible drawings lurking within my brain and my fingertips, some real stinkers. But among them, some gems just waiting to be discovered. And the only way to
Gems?
get at those gems
Like
is
the
to get
crystal
this way
gems?
by drawing them out, one
Steven
at a time.
Universe.
Imagining the process of
We
art
are the
making
crystal
keeps me
gems.
motivated
Always
to draw.
save the day.
Okay, I can
Even if
already
you think we
hear
can't,
this.
we always find a
I
way.
know this isn't a
Like, that's
perfect
why the people
comparison.
of this world believe in garnet, amethyst, and pearl. Steven?
People, it doesn't use a fixed seed. And you wouldn't be wrong about that. But listen, if physicists can tell you to consider a spherical cow in a vacuum, I don't think it's too far-fetched to use a simplified version of a gotcha game as a helpful mental framework. But there is still one very important difference between drawing and gotcha games that's worth diving into. It wasn't always the case, but these days modern gotcha games share their drop rates, and usually those drop rates are quite low. For example, the base chance of getting a 5-star in Genshin Impact is 0.6%, which is not very high. And there's not a lot you can do to increase these drop rates beyond making angry tweets or Reddit posts complaining about it. But what if I told you that you can control your drop rates for the art gotcha game? Okay, when you first start drawing, your rates start out absolutely
Dying here.
0.6% sounded low.
Okay,
Ready to
pretend like I
start.
never made that
Art
noise.
gotcha. You can sketch and sketch, dot after dot.
31 views.
Here, artist drop rates are going to be pretty much effectively zero. That's
31 active viewers on reality is crazy.
wanna quit, and I can't blame them at all.
I love Yuzutsumi so much. She's great.
Because they might not realize that they can actually improve their rates over time.
Stonks.
You actually improve the drop
Sorry,
rates
just
over
reacting.
time.
Not reacting, but
Do this by
look at the video.
fundamentals.
Um,
Simply continue
PCAT's
to draw
video
pixels
on
and
that I'm watching right now
good to be
on
true.
YouTube.
A gotcha game that permanently
This is
improves
keeping me
rates after every
sane.
single pull. A pity timer that never gets resets. The key thing to remember here, though, is that there's no way to ever completely avoid doing bad drawings. So even if you feel like you put in a ton of work to raise your rates, you're still gonna get the occasional awful sketch. So remember to not let it get to you and just keep drawing. Anyway, I hope that my way of thinking about art was helpful to someone out there. If you liked it, do a 10 pull on the subscribe button banner. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye! Imagine Squid Game, except all the challenges are art-related and completely unfair.
I
and
love this
the
video.
organizer has never actually watched Squid Game. Well, here's how it went. So the first challenge is draw 10 parallel horizontal lines. The least parallel and straight lines die. No straight line tool. No straight line tool allowed, okay? If you use it, you die. Horizontal lines. 10 parallel horizontal lines. Horizontal! Uh-oh! I see someone who's lagging too much. Okay, everyone's making good progress on their 10 horizontal lines. You're trying with trackpad, then you may be eliminated soon. Okay, 30 more seconds. So I am going to eliminate 5 people, okay? It's gonna be 5 people at a time. So, 10 more seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, pens down. If you keep drawing right now, you will be eliminated. Be careful. Unfortunately, it looks like Josh is still drawing. I see you over there. But that's not allowed. Dead. You did a good job with the track. Josh, no! You can still doodle in there if you want. Like Kuroi Hitsujiba, your lines are not very horizontal. You are the next to be eliminated. You're dead too. DB Phrase, I am sorry. These are pretty wiggly lines. You are dead too. That's a lot of lines. But I did say 10 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Is this 10 lines? Do I eliminate you for drawing too many lines? Uh-oh. We take out the overachiever. These are beautiful lines, but you did not follow instructions. Die for going above and beyond.
Dies for going plus ultra.
Eliminating. Death by technicality. We are gonna eliminate. Oh, I'm sorry. These lines, I think, are a little bit too wobbly. So alas, you two are dead. That's 5 deaths. Okay. All right. Clear your canvases. Those of you that are still alive. Clear your canvases. You volunteered to be eliminated. Okay. You're also dead. Goodbye, Triangle Man. Have a good work call. Now the next challenge. You ready? Your next challenge is to draw a cube in 3-point perspective. Now don't be cute and be like, hey, technically if I look at the cube straight on, it's a perfect square. That makes it a cube. That doesn't. No, I don't like that. I have to like the cube, and it must be in 3-point perspective. Ooh, all right. We're seeing some very promising cubes right now. They're looking very promising. I should have a timer. But I'll give you guys another minute. This should work, right? You have 1 last minute. Okay. Wow, we got full-on renders here. Well, the presentation is good. Remember, 3-point perspective is what I want. 20 more seconds to go. Oh, the timer is covered by hairs. But 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Save.
1. Okay.
Okay. 9 more minutes left in the stream. It may seem like I want to stop streaming, but no, I just... Oh, 50-50, I'm tired. Tired, my guy.
I will have to eliminate Arch of Winter. I want to see at least a small convergence.
Oh, I didn't realize it got so dark out.
Parallel, like an isometric cube, I specified cube in perspective.
Freak.
Arch of Winter has been.
Gonna...
And for the same reason, I'm going to
Yeesh.
have to eliminate June. Again, these lines are
I'm gonna stop streaming, actually, to conserve phone battery and as well my sanity. Alright, so... Hello, Skittle Lord. I don't know how to feel about that name, but I'm ending the stream right now, so... Bye. Have a good night on reality. See y'all.
Nobody is voting. This is not death by majority. I decided I want a more converging one, and you had no way of knowing. Goodbye. Okay, and unfortunately, mutant Henmars, I can't really see a whole lot. It's a little bit too small, so for that reason, you will also perish. I'm sorry. It's a bloodbath. It's a bloodbath, no! Get ready for your next challenge. Yeah, there was one that limited himself, so I'll just keep it at 10. Your next challenge is draw a perfect circle. As perfect as possible. Do not use the circle tool. I'll be able to tell. You have 2 minutes to draw your perfect circle. Go.
Bye, y'all on YouTube. Have